And just like that, I am back. Happy Thursday. This week is going by pretty fast, huh? I guess not to y'all, right? So, welcome to tonight's podcast with me, your host, Dina, as always. I hope you have had a great day. I hope you enjoyed the weather. It was a little cloudy outside, but it was still good, right? So, I am back 2 times this week, right? And I even got a little icebreakers for y'all tonight. But before we get into that, thank you for joining tonight. Thank you all who have been coming on and watching the replay. Leaving little comments and telling me hello. It's just thank you for that. Thank you. It's just so nice of you to be nice, right? And the ones who have been coming back and even sharing feedback with me is greatly appreciated because it lets me know that it's not in vain, right? And so it's always um, my thing to be able to be a blessing to somebody. That somebody gets something tonight and every night that will encourage you to keep on waiting well while we're in a waiting period, right? So as you come on tonight, as always, make sure you subscribe to my channel. That is Journey with Dina, Dena. Make sure you hit the notification bell so that you will be notified every time I go live, right? We are still in the series of the waiting period because what it is a necessary part of the process. We already know that, right? So we're gonna keep on saying it so we can ease us onto it, right? So when it happens. So if you have been watching the podcast the last couple of times, we have been talking about closed doors, shifts, and alignments while in the waiting period because even though we have done the necessary work that we needed to prepare us for our kingdom spouse and the things that we are praying for, sometimes there still are delays, detours, and closed doors that are still a part of God's process, right? So if you have been watching the videos, you've noticed that I have been talking about some closed doors in my life that happened on just this year alone, right? January, already in February, right? March is coming up. Okay, I got you one coming for March, right? So if you watch the replay or if you are watching now, I got an icebreaker for you. And good evening, Miss Holmes. It is good to see you on this evening. I have an icebreaker. So I'm going to answer the question, and I want you all to answer the question as well. Even if you come back and watch it in the replay, just drop it down in the chat, right? So the first icebreaker I have, it says, if your waiting season, now remember, it could be waiting season for your kingdom spouse, or it could be waiting on another prayer request or something else that you have up that you're waiting to walk into, right? So this can apply to that as well. If your waiting season was a weather forecast, what would it be today? Would it be sunny, cloudy, thunderstorm, or foggy? That's a good question, right? So let's see. What would my answer be? Today, it would be a little foggy. And I say that because one minute you can be sure of some things in the direction you feel like you're going, and then another minute you can be like, I don't know, because it ain't looking the way I thought it was gonna look. So I'm a little foggy, like I can't see the whole picture. But I have learned that that's how God operates a little of the time. Well, most of the time in fog, so you can't see the whole picture or the whole plan because that requires us to what walk by faith. Because if you can see the plan and you can see the path, then you don't need faith to see it, right? Nope, you don't. So that's why I would say mine would be a little foggy. Miss Holmes says hers would be cloudy. I I can see cloudy. Cloudy even is same as kind of foggy to me too. Still can't see it all the way, but you know you see something. You can see it peeping at you, but you can't see all the way. We just gonna keep on going through the fog, going through the clouds until we can see the whole picture, right? So my next icebreaker is if you could rename this season of your life like a book title, what would it be? Oh, hold on. Before I go back, let me go back. Miss Holmes says decisions, 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 decisions. Right. So you know when you have decisions, decisions, that means you got to pray about it. You got to sit and you got to listen, and then you got to move forward. Don't make decisions out of your emotions. But we all use good, sound mind and judgment. There's always some decisions to be made, but sometimes I'm just like, I'm just going to sleep. I ain't making no decision. I'm just going to sleep. Okay. But we ain't gonna do that, Miss Holmes. You gotta make the right decisions. Because decisions lead to better today, better tomorrow, better future. Got it. So I'm gonna go back. The next question is, if you could, not question, icebreaker. If you could rename this season of your life like a book title, what would it be? Mine would be The Journey, which is the title of the podcast because that is what my life has been lately, the journey. Um, and I would title it The Journey, the process, the preparation, and the promise. Because it's a whole lot that goes into each one of them. So that's what my this season of my life will be entitled The Journey because it has been a journey. Okay. These last 3-4 years. Whew, that's all I can say is whew, it's been a journey. Okay. And so my question that's gonna lead us into tonight. So if I didn't give you the topic for tonight, it is still on closed doors. Is it a closed door or is it another one of God's alignment, putting you at the right place at the right time to meet the right people, right? So it says, can you recall a time when a closed door turned out to be a divine detour? What did it teach you? Hmm. So for me, I would say this would be my one of my latest closed doors as well was closing my hair salon. It was a divine detour because it detoured me from where I was and where I was comfortable at to where God wanted me to be. But let me tell you how I got there, right? So I had a hair salon that I owned as I had a business partner. We did it for 10 years and 6 months. Now, within that last year, I maybe 2 years, I had been feeling just like blah, like just out of routine, going to the salon, doing what I do, just leaving, whatever, just going through the motions, not really having that fire that I used to have or that to to get it done. I was just going because people need their hair done, and it was always a second income for me, right? So within this was it no last year within the last year I started getting little, I'll say, God nudges, right? So I would kind of be thinking of things that I knew went in place that I should have been doing, but I hadn't gotten so comfortable in that spot that I didn't even want to do nothing. I didn't want to do better. I knew that it was time for a change. I wanted something new and fresh and exciting because I had lost my passion for doing hair. Even though doing hair was never one of my biggest passions, but I knew for me it was ministry for me to talk to my different clients, whatever they may be going through. Just it was ministry for me. So I always went along with that because I knew that was a part of God's plan and purpose for me in doing hair. And so, like I said, I had a business partner that we were there for 10 years. Um, Something that it taught me is even in business, just like a marriage, it's about partnership. And you have to have a good partnership no matter what the relationship is. Business, business, especially because to me, business was just like a marriage. Like we paying bills together, we making decisions together, we coming together doing things. And I had let it get to a point where I was having a dysfunctional relationship. I had a dysfunctional. It was dysfunctional because we were just operating out of our own selves because you doing your thing, I'm doing my thing because we were comfortable. And it worked for me because it just kept a whole lot of stress out of my life. And I learned how to navigate around it, which was not a good thing because I started to be comfortable in dysfunction. So, like I said, things started to happen in the salon that it was just one thing out of another. One thing happened right behind each other. And it forced me out. This one of those things, like I put in the thing about being pushed into purpose. I was pushed into purpose. So I kept on thinking about what does this look like? Like, how do I move forward with this? But I really wasn't on my own wanted to do it. And so the Lord kind of came and pushed me. Like I said, things was happening in salon back to back to back. And I had got to a point where I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be comfortable in dysfunction anymore. I am scared, but I am ready to take another direction. And I feel like God was pushing me in a direction to make me go ahead and leave because I was gonna go. Oh, it was gonna be real hard decision because when you've been somewhere for 10.5 years, like you're comfortable. You know the ins and outs. You know how to pay the bills. The bills be the same. You make your money. You pay the bills. You go on about your business. It ain't really too much to offer to it. Versus the thought of branching out on your own and going to something new that you're responsible for on your own. And I think a part of me was scared to go out on my own because I've been in business partnerships for so long. Not because I didn't think that I was able to do it, because I will tell you the truth, I was lazy and I didn't want to do it. I wanted to be comfortable, just do what needs to be done, and go on about my business. Well, a couple of things started happening, like I said, and it led me to letting my business partner know that I feel like God was pushing me in a different direction. And what that looked like, I didn't know at the time. All I knew is God was continuing to push me. It was pushing me. And so I had met this young lady. Even in the midst of before I decided to go ahead and close the salon, I had met this young lady, and she was telling me about this group that she was in called Green of America. I'm sorry, I don't know what they was. Called Green of America, and it was for female entrepreneurs that was either doing startup businesses or to invest in your businesses. And I was on the phone. I was like, I don't know why I'm on this call with this lady. I'm not trying to start a new business. I'm not trying to invest in no business. Like, I'm not trying to do all that. But I went on and got on the call because they have Zoom calls every morning, Monday morning at 9:30. So I got on the Zoom call, listened to them, and I was like, I ain't really looking for that. But, okay, I'll go ahead and listen. I ended up going to a meeting. They had an in-person meeting, which was the following week, and it was called Boss Chicks. So it was like a room full of entrepreneurs, females. And when I say the energy and the vibes was so good, and it was the Lord taking me out of my comfort zone of what I feel like I had lost my juice for, and placing me in another environment because I've learned sometimes when you get so comfortable in the environment that you are in, you get lazy, you get complacent. So the Lord put me in a whole different environment, and it gave me my spark back. And I was like, okay, okay, I like the energy that they're giving. They all talked about the different businesses, how long they've been in business, and I was like, okay, I like this. So even if I just got joined the group for the sisterhood, I'm with it because being an entrepreneur, you need like-minded people around you. Even being in business, even working, you need good, positive, motivated people around you because you ain't always motivated to do, the hard things, right? So I knew I had gotten comfortable where I was at. I didn't have the motivation that I needed. So when God placed me in this group with these people and I met them, I was like, okay. So a week after that is when everything kind of fell apart at the salon. So I got a phone call, and I actually with this lady who I knew that she worked in some salon suites, and she gave me the number to some people that owned one and they was opening one up. I would say to my surprise, but it wasn't to my surprise. It was God's divine alignment. I called the people and set up an appointment to go and see the salon. I ain't tell nobody because this all was new to me. I didn't want the pressure. I didn't want any questions because I am learning to sometimes, a lot of times, we have to move in silence. We don't have to make no announcements. We don't have to tell nobody. We don't need their confirmation. We don't need their input. All you need is you and God. If God telling you to go, go. Don't worry about the other people. They'll see it on the way, right? So called the lady and she said, I've been waiting on you to call. I was like, what? Made an appointment to go and see the lady, and only God, the lady ended up being her, and I had met her before, but it's been so long ago. And her husband was actually my CPA for my business. How ironic is that, right? My CPA opens up a brand new salon suite, which I had always been against because I was like, yeah, I don't want to do all that. It's just too much money, too much work. End up going and seeing it, and when I went to see it, I already knew if I liked it, it was a done deal. I went and I seen it, and I was like, okay. And I ended up calling my business partner that same evening and telling her that God was pushing me in a different direction and that I was ready to go ahead and close the salon and walk away. Well, it was harder than I thought. At first, I was just going through the flow, doing things and getting it closed down, moving, and not having time to think. And that's how the Lord does sometimes. He just do stuff so fast that you don't have time to get scared. You don't have time to change your mind. It just be happening, and that's God pushing you because He know if He give you a little too much slack, then you're gonna shrink back and you're gonna change your mind and you ain't gonna do it. So when stuff started moving fast, I knew that was God. And every yes that I yielded to him, he opened another door. And so why I met the lady that I went to that group, because guess why? Because God put them in my path because I end up going through them and getting a loan through them and got all the money that I needed to open up my own salon. Yes, I did. So God closed that door for my partnership and opened my own salon within 30 days. Literally within 2 weeks. In 30 days, I closed down one salon and moved to the next one. And within 2 weeks, I had opened my own salon. So you know that's God, right? Only God can close down one business and open another one in less than 30 days. I'm talking about I had to get my business license. I had to get my salon license. I had to get my salon inspected. I had to get everything that I need to move in while everything I needed to close down my other salon. When I say my head was spinning, but it was all God. Because God opened every door that I needed open as He was closing the rest of them. He closed this one, opened this one. Took this person away, sent this person. God said in this season, I'm establishing Dina by herself. I am your partner. And a lot of times we don't realize that we try to get with other people or do partnerships or whatever, and God wants to push you further. And that's what He did. And it was major and huge to me because this is something that I never even imagined me doing. But what if God hadn't closed the door for that salon? I wouldn't be able to sit here and say that I have opened up a whole salon suite on my own with the help of the people that God put into place. And when I say He put everybody in place that I needed, people that helped me to reach out to do my loan, to do my to get my licenses, everything that I needed, God put it in place. Because why? Every door He closed, every person He moved, He sent a new one because it was time for a new season and it was time for new things. So once again, closed doors are not always bad. A lot of time they are for God's purpose and God's alignment to put us where we need to be at the time we need to be. But when we are comfortable, he knows he has to push us a little bit harder because he know we ain't gonna move unless he make us move. Well, that's my testimony because I am that person. And I didn't have a clear vision of what I needed to do, and God did not give me a clear vision. I told y'all in the other video when a prophet told me the next 3 months of your life are gonna be bananas. They absolutely was bananas. January, I had to move my church. February, I was released from my job. March, I had to close down my salon and open a brand new one in 3 months with no warning. And I cried for every last one of them. Yes, I did. I ain't gonna tell y'all no lie. I cried. Yes, ma'am. Miss Holmes said he was setting you up with a purpose. Absolutely. Because for one, if you watch the video when I was released from my job, had I been still at my job, there's no way that I would have been in position to open up the new salon and close down the salon because of the time. My time would have been restricted. So that's why the Lord pushed me out. And I understand now because if y'all watched the last video, I said I was frustrated because my time went from 1 week. No, it went from 6 to 8 weeks to 1 week. And that's because God had me on a fast track. And that's how sometimes God would do you. He will put you on a fast track. You know, when they say you feel like time was wasted, no, nothing will be wasted, no time or nothing, because God's gonna put you where you're supposed to be, and He's gonna make up for that time. And He absolutely has. So I just had to come on and give y'all my another alignment because that is what God has been doing in my life. And I can't believe that this year is almost over. Almost over. Like I literally started this year in January crying because I had to leave my old church. But look where I am now. And it's only by the grace of God, and it's all to God be the glory. That the things that have happened, the way they happened, if I wouldn't have said yes to that first closed door. So even though I have done the work I feel like doing and preparing myself for my kingdom spouse, I have done the work, I have healed, I have grown, I have matured spiritually, emotionally, because the emotions can get you in some trouble. But I have worked through all that, and I am still in the waiting period. But guess what? I am waiting well now. I'm not anxious. I'm not frustrated. I know that when it's time, and He's gonna make it worth the wait. Okay, that's all I got to say about that. So I do have another homework assignment for you that I hope that you all, even when you come on and watch the replay, that you would jot it down, right? So our homework assignment for today is we are going to write a note to the version of ourselves who we will one day be walking through that open door. That open door is what you have been praying for. That open door is what you are seeking God for. That open door that you can't wait to see yourself in. We're going to write a note or a letter, whichever one, to that version of ourselves. Dear whatever, congratulations. You have finally walked through that door. What are your emotions? What are your feels? Give me your expectation. Give me your excitement. Give me all the thrills and chills, okay? And I want you to drop down in the chat and tell me about it. Okay? That's all I got for you. Don't forget to do your homework assignment. And I hope y'all did your homework assignment from yesterday. Because y'all ain't put it in the chat. And that assignment was, what are some more ways that we can sow, or I think it was sow with purpose while we're in the waiting period. And for me, mine is continue to teach, continue to give what God has given me, the encouragement to encourage people to continue to wait. Even though the times get hard, and I'm not going to tell you no story, it don't. No matter what you're waiting on, no matter what you're praying for, sometimes time gets hard, it gets frustrating because you can't see what God is doing. But He said, lean not to your own understanding, but all thy ways acknowledge Him, and he shall direct your path. So, on that note, just like Ms. Holmes says, he's setting you up with a purpose and a plan. So, keep moving, keep trusting God, and you already know it's closer than you think. Until next time.